To go live. Okay, it's live. Hi. Hello, everyone. Welcome to House Polished. It's just myself and Mrs. Cronall today. We unfortunately don't have the lovely Lady Lisa, is having technical problems. So Lisa may join us in the chat, and I'll actually try and get the chat up on my phone because I've got everything set up on the laptop. And today we're going to talk about episode 3, season 7, Game of Thrones, which was titled The Queen's Justice. What were your initial thoughts about it? What's your kind of take on this as an episode, Catherine? What would you say?
Yeah, so I was saying to you that before we came live, I was saying that this kind of left me feeling a bit empty at the end. I will give like 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10 for one of the scenes. But the ending just left me a bit empty, but I have theories on it, obviously. Like 10 out of 10, 11. Oh,
yeah, sorry about that.
So no, fine. I did it as well, so that's fine.
So you score it okay.
Sorry. Certain scenes I'd give 11 out of 10. I don't know what I would give it out of 10, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's, for me, it wasn't as strong as the first two. I'd give it that. However, I did love the Jon and Dany scene. I don't know how you felt about it, but I loved it. Technically, I thought it was beautiful. But
yes, yeah. Visually, it was fantastic. Yeah.
Cinematic. I thought it was fantastic. Yeah, I have a theory as to why Dany might have been. I'm guessing you had a problem with Dany in that scene.
I think I was just expecting more. I think there was just been so many years and so much, like, finally ice and fire. And even before we got to see them in the throne room, you've got Mel saying that she's brought ice and fire together, and it's like, wow, this is like really, this is a real momentous moment. And it just felt, the whole thing just felt a little bit lackluster to me. And I was actually watching behind the scenes with the actors, Kit Harington and I'll think of the name of the actress who plays Daenerys.
Emilia Clarke.
Emilia Clarke. And they were both kind of saying, there's a bit of comedy to the scene as well. And it's like, I don't know. Well,
there was actually with the Davos thing.
Oh, there was, yeah, there was some comedy
not
to
between
it.
Them.
No, I think it kind of just, I was a little bit, I think I've watched it twice, and the first time I watched the episode, it again, I have to say, it seemed to finish really quickly, a lot quicker than I expected. And I don't know if these early episodes are actually any longer than a usual episode, but it does feel like it doesn't feel.
This one was,
I think it was 70-something minutes, but for me on my on Sky Atlantic, that was including adverts as well. So yeah,
I think it was an hour and 4.
Anita Hansen joining us in the chat.
Hi, Anita.
Hi. So we're just making a start, Anita, and what we're going to do is we're going to go through. We're going to look at. There was fewer locations in this episode, so we're going to focus on the locations and the scenes within the locations. So I mean, we've already started talking about it.
Bitching about it.
Bitching about it. On Dragonstone. So we may as well discuss those. I think that's probably half the episode, actually. So let's talk about Dragonstone.
Polish?
Of course, yes. What have you chosen this week?
I already spoiled this on Instagram about half an hour ago. This is Ready for Dreamland. And I hope my internet is strong enough for people to read this.
Yes, I can see it.
Femme Fatale. I'm actually wearing it on my nails as well because I decided to change my caddy lacquer. It's a kind of a grey with a purpley shimmer, and it's got a little bit of a gold shimmer in there as well.
Oh, lovely.
And I thought that, well, it's a tribute to Elena, obviously. I think she was ready to go, ready for Dreamland.
Yeah.
She said she had no problem sleeping her entire life because she did everything for her family, so she could justify going to bed at night. And I felt that this episode, and what I really liked about this episode, was that it was all about why people do the things they do.
Yes.
They do it for family, they do it for the people, or they do it for themselves. And some people are honest about that, and some people aren't. Some people can live with it, and some people can't. And that's why I think Olenna, that's why we loved her as well. She was ready at the end. She was ready for Dreamland, ready to go, ready to say hello to Tywin. And one last middle finger to Cersei on the way out as well.
She was fantastic. So we've also got Marco Minto. Hi, Marco, and Florrie as well in the chat. So welcome.
Oh, hi, everybody.
We will.
Oh, and Claire, one more thing. The reason I also picked it is because purple, and because my Blaze manga T-shirt arrived today. Last Monday when the episode aired, and it's Tyrion, Jon, and Dany, and they were the best things about this episode.
Yes, yeah,
So
I agree. I agree. My polish is this lovely Orly, and the reason that I picked it is because of the name, and it's, if you can see that. Oh, it's quite blurry. Can you see it?
Not really.
I've got it the right way around. It's foul play.
Ah, very good. I like it.
You might be able to, if you know foul play, then you will recognize probably just by looking at the polish. But yes, this is foul play, because I thought some of the battle scenes and the strategy was dirty tactics. So that's, for me, foul play, definitely. That one jumped out at me. So let's make a start on Dragonstone. Just very briefly, I think there's no point in us actually, explaining what the episode was. I presume that most people will have seen it. Marco's asking for a rating for the episode. Marco, we were both quite disappointed with this. I would say, if I had to score it out of 10, I would possibly say 6.5.
Yeah, I was actually thinking the same, 6.5 or 7. Yeah. I'd probably go 7. Yeah, I'd probably go 7. 7 out of 10.
It could be one of those creeper episodes where I watch it a third time. This definitely the second time I watched it, I enjoyed it more than the first time, but
it did have a lot of conversations, and it did have a lot of dialogue that could become cryptic later on, which I picked out a couple of bits that we can talk about. But yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Hello, Sijoka 2008. Right, okay, so have we missed anybody? Rachel. Well, hi, Rachel. Hi, Rachel. Rachel had a video this week where she was showing Christmas Gone Plaid, which is arriving hopefully in the post tomorrow. A subscriber of mine, Dee, texted me to say, I've just found this in Pound World, and it's a kind of like a low-key lemming of mine for quite a while. Very nice. She's sending that tomorrow. So I was drooling over your swatch of it, Rachel, and she was saying that it's one of her favorite polishes. So thanks for joining us. Okay, let's make a start. Dragonstone. We're not going to go through what was in it. I think I'll just tell you there were a few scenes. This will probably take up the majority of our discussion, I would think. This is a big event where Jon arrives at Dragonstone, and there are several scenes within that setting, that location. So if we think about the arrival of Jon, is there anything that we want to say about that? I mean, I think it was very, it was quite sweet to see Jon and Tyrion reuniting again. And I think we were expecting a little bit of banter, and we weren't disappointed by that. Yeah, it was kind of nice to see them. I know everybody will be talking about the scene where the dragons fly over, and just at the point where Jon says, "I'm not a Stark," and the dragons fly over, and he kind of crouches down, and it's like, no, you're not a Stark, because possibly you're a Targaryen. So that was kind of like wow. But yeah, I think one of the things that I noticed that I didn't realise before is the Dothraki are massive. Yes. I didn't realise how huge they were, and massively like overpowering Jon. Jon seemed like a tiny little widdly thing compared to the Dothraki, so I was quite surprised at that. And I don't know what it is. I don't know whether I'm just convincing myself of this, but I am suspicious of Missandei. I'm just, I think.
Did I poison you against her?
Possibly. I think the whole, potential betrayal that we heard, right? Like Miri Mazda and the betrayal for love, betrayal for money, betrayal for whatever. There's 3 betrayals. Hi, Kay. I think that the scene that we had last week with Missandei and Grey Worm, I think that if anything happens to Grey Worm, and I was convinced last week that he was going to die, actually, but bravely in battle. But I think if anything happens to Grey Worm, that'll be the point where Missandei just thinks, I've had enough of this. I'm not, why am I supporting this woman? Whether or not there's some issues around betrayal from previous to that, I don't know, but she seemed, there's just something off about Missandei, and I don't know. We've always thought, particularly as book readers, that the betrayal for love would be somebody who Daenerys falls for, like Dario, for example, who may betray her, but maybe it's not directly related to Dany, but it's because of Dany that somebody else betrays her because of love. So I'm convinced of that, and I don't seem to be able to get that out of my head. And I think somebody is betraying Dany because everybody else seems to have such an advantage. Something seems to be going on, and I'm suspicious of her. I don't know what anybody else thinks.
Well, that was kind of foreshadowed last week as well, when when Mel turned up and Missandei said that there was that Dany incorrectly interpreted the prophecy based on a gendered version of what she thought the prophecy meant, the prince that was promised, and could be the princess as well. So you might be right there that might be an inaccuracy on love. But can I just say one thing about Jon arriving? There's a huge thing about Jon arriving. First of all, I think Kit Harington was one of the best things about this episode. Myself and Lisa were obviously having little messages back and forth about how hot he was in this episode. But that's besides. He's also a good actor. Okay, he was very, very good in this, and that was really patronizing. He is a good actor. He has gotten better, actually.
I agree. He's got better. I thought he was crap in the first season, to be honest with you. I was disappointed with the casting of Jon in the first season, but he seems to have grown into the role. So,
But the huge thing that happens in the first couple of minutes, Jon hands over his sword to a Dothraki. He's never seen that sword again. Jorah's coming. Jorah's getting that sword. He's never going to see Longclaw again. That is going to Jorah. I don't think he's going to get that sword back. And I'm really hoping that the next sword he has to hold is Dawn. I'm really hoping, because if he goes to Winterfell, that's what I'm presuming will be in Winterfell, perhaps in Lyanna's crypt or something like that. I know it's a fan theory that's years old, decades old at this stage, but that's what I think. I think he had to lose Longclaw, and they made a point of showing him handing that over to that Dothraki. And we know Jorah is coming. I think Jorah is going to get that sword. I don't know. I don't think Jon will necessarily mind. I don't think he'll mind if Jorah gets it. I think that'll be okay. It'll be bittersweet, but I think Jon doesn't really care about anything, and I think Kit Harington is very good at portraying that. That the only thing he's focused on is being a fighter now, and he even tells us he doesn't enjoy that. But I'm totally with you on the Missandei thing. Although it could be Tyrion as well, which I'll talk about. I'm going to rant a lot about Tyrion later on. But
just thinking about swords though, and Winterfell. I'm just thinking about him going back to the north. Brienne has got Oathkeeper, and Oathkeeper is half of the big broadsword Ice, which was Ned's sword, and there's something strange about Ice. It's kind of, I'm not quite sure if it's Valyrian or not, or if it's something older than that.
It is. I think it is.
Right.
Oh, actually.
Isn't there something else weaved inside it? I think there's something different about
now that you say it, I'm not sure. I assumed it was Valyrian. No, it is, because Tywin wanted a Valyrian sword. That's why he took it. So it's definitely Valyrian.
Yeah. So yeah, anyway, we could get hung up on swords, but so Jon arrives with I thought what was quite funny is the only person in the whole scenes in Dragonstone that was actually familiar with the territory and the terrain and the castle and the actual area was Davos.
Yeah.
Nobody else really knows anything about Dragonstone.
Yeah, because they haven't explained why he's bringing Davos.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like we assume as viewers, it's Liam Cunningham. Obviously, he's hot. Kit is hot. They need to be together for maximum hotness. And obviously, they're going to be great together for their own life. Sorry, that's for me.
Is that just you?
Sorry.
What does everybody think in the chat?
Sorry, Jan and Dave. They're just listening to my emails for the last 10 years. No, but we just automatically assume that they'll be a good pairing because Davos is smart. But there's actually the only logical reason for him to bring Davos is that, like you said, he knows Dragonstone, but also I suppose he won't draw attention to Jon, because he's not a northern guy, so he won't have the accent. So they can pass Jon off as whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
If traveling with Davos. But yeah, it's not really explained. Like, I mean, in reality, it should be one of the other Northern Lords, right? It shouldn't be Davos, but
yeah,
I guess it makes sense. Like if you were to play it out, but again, this is I feel like the show is moving so fast that we have to fill in so many of these things ourselves. We have to kind of just kind of fill in, join the dots ourselves, which is fine actually, because sometimes a show can get too heavy-handed with that. So I'm not too worried about that kind of thing. But it is unusual that Davos is with him, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose it's his home more than anybody else's, and that kind of stuck out to me. Just to let you know, everybody, I am painting my nails at the moment. Because I forgot earlier, I did some stamping earlier and then I removed it, and I can't, and for no reason whatsoever. And then I thought I can't do house polish without painting my nails, so I'm actually painting my nails with Baroque Jungle, which is the green, deep green polish from the Street Regal collection from China Glaze Fall collection from this year, and it's Kota.
Oh, really?
It's nice. And it's got a shimmer that's noticeable. It's not really blingy shimmer, but it's got a shimmer that's quite noticeable. Yeah. So we is there anything else here that I thought it was quite interesting that Davos mentioned to Missandei about where she was from. He said, I've never been there before, but Narth, that's quite an interesting area. And from the books, we know a little bit more about it. And certainly from A World of Ice and Fire, we know more about it. And he mentioned the butterflies. And it seems like a really beautiful place, but there's actually you can get a really horrible disease from the butterflies in the homeland where Missandei is from, where you basically, your skin just falls off, which is really horrible. And I thought, where would he have known that from? Where would the Onion Knight have known that from? And then it just made me feel really sad about Shireen, because I thought he would have learned about that from reading books with Shireen. So yeah, I just thought that was quite interesting that they dropped that into the conversation about where Shireen was from. Before we get into the meeting, Jon and Daenerys meeting, we have a very short scene with Mel and Varys, that they're kind of standing outside, and she's not going to go in and say hello to Davos, but they have a conversation where he's advising her to disappear, and she's very cryptic and says, yes, I'm going to Volantis, but I will be coming back because I'm going to die here as you are, Spider. And he seems a bit worried about that. I don't know if there's anything that you want to say about that scene, Catherine.
We skipped a scene, actually.
Did we? Sorry.
It's the nail polish fumes.
It's the fumes.
Well, after Jon, well, obviously we've Jon meeting Tyrion first. So
yes.
So I really loved that. I thought that was a really nice scene. It was the reunion that I was waiting for. It's one of my favorite scenes in the original book and the original show. And Jen is here, Claire.
Oh, hi. Oh, Jen. Mwah. I've got one hand painted and I'm painting the other hand with the new China glaze from the Street Regal collection.
And hi to Callum as well. I think he's gone. I don't think he wasn't. He loves nail polish, but he wasn't a fan of our manicures, obviously. So sorry, Callum.
Sorry, Callum.
Thanks a million for dropping by, Callum. And everybody, actually, thank you so much. Yeah. So there's a couple of things with Tyrion, and while you're painting, I'm going to just say my Tyrion rant, just to get out of the way. Not my rant. It's not a rant, but there's a few things with Tyrion. One of the first things he says to Jon is, if I was your hand, I would have advised against you coming here.
Yes.
So I feel like that's foreshadowing. Tyrion, I said it last week or the week before, Tyrion is incredibly smart. He's incredibly likable. He's one of the characters that we as viewers, as readers, when we see Dany listening to him, we say, yes, listen to him. But actually, by the end of this episode, I realized, I was like, no, why do I think that? This show is tricking me. Because we shouldn't listen to Tyrion all the time. He isn't the greatest military commander like that everybody thinks he is. He messed up on the Blackwater, he messed up in Marine, and now he's messed up in Casterly Rock. And not messed up in that he had a good idea, but he didn't foresee every eventual possible outcome, like Littlefinger says to Sansa. And so he was outsmarted by Tywin, he was outsmarted by the Harpies, and now he's been outsmarted by Cersei and Jaime. And he always underestimates the duplicity and underhandedness, especially of his own family. And that's really, really something that he could work with Jon very well. I think Jon has a much more military mind. Davos has a much more military mind, as they played up in the Battle of the Bastards, even though Jon was nearly destroyed there. But where Jon was nearly destroyed there, Tyrion would have already thought of the Vale. So if Sansa hadn't been there, Tyrion would have thought of Littlefinger. So I think together they would make a good team. Sorry, that's the Irish TH coming out. Team. So I think there might be a little bit of foreshadowing there that Jon and Tyrion will have to work together in a military way. And I think when Dany quips to him later on about when Tyrion gives her a quote, it's obviously one of his own quotes he's trying to pass off as wise words, and she kind of looks at him suspiciously. I wonder, is she going to start doubting Tyrion, especially if we have Jorah coming back into her life? Because, and we'll get to Dany later on, but there is a problem with Dany at the moment, acting very regal and queen-like and giving off all these speeches all the time, but not really being the Dany that we know. She's being Khaleesi and she's not being Dany. And I don't know if Westeros needs a Khaleesi, a mother of dragons. They might need Dany, but they don't necessarily need Khaleesi, if you know what I mean. So I'm Sorry, go on. That's all I have to say.
I was just going to say, I agree with you that I don't think Tyrion is the greatest military strategist. I think he is, and I think he thinks he's cleverer than he actually is. And he's there's a bit of ego there with him, but I mean that's potentially he's had to use that, you know, that whole use it like armor. He's had to be quite clever with use what he's got. I think he's a good relationship manager.
Yes,
I
definitely.
think that's his strength. That's his strong point. He's good at being able to kind of read people and anticipate people, and it kind of felt like, and I've mentioned this scene, Melisandre was saying, I've done my bit, I've brought ice and fire together. But that's not always good enough. You have to kind of make sure that, you know, the some sort of relationship is formed there. And, you know, he starts talking about, you know, give a little bit, and we may need to, you know, we may need the North as allies at some point in the future. So, I think he has his uses, but I don't think he's he's not really learned much from his father in terms of military strategy.
No. And it's kind of surprising that Cersei has learned that, obviously. But Dany isn't good at fostering relationships between people. And Jon isn't great at fostering relationships between people. Like you need to have good relationships. Robert Baratheon wasn't good at that either. Certain types of people, like Renly, got on very well with Littlefinger, for instance, but Stannis didn't get on with anybody. So I think it's really important. Oh, hello, S Nail Art. I think it's really important for a good ruler to be able to, like you're saying, to make people get along, and that's a good politician. And I think Tyrion is a great politician, and unfortunately for him, he's living at a time where you need to be a great politician, but maybe Dany needs Churchill. Maybe she doesn't need a good politician. Do you know what I mean? So maybe he needs to become a bit more of a Churchill and kind of wise up to the fact that people can outthink him, outsmart him. Like Jaime knew exactly what Tyrion was going to do. I'm sure of it. Like Jaime knew what his brother was up to. So he should have known that. He should have known that Jaime would still be on Cersei's side. But I'm sorry, I cut across you there when you were getting ready to talk about Mel and Varys, and Marco made a good point about that.
But just going back to what you just said there, in terms of who really should be the Lord of Casterly Rock, it should be Tyrion, because it can't be Jaime, even though Jaime is the elder brother, because he's in his Kingsguard. And when Tywin was alive, there was always that question about you will never inherit the rock, and you will, you know. So I think that Jaime knew that. So that was a kind of easy thing for him to anticipate. It was a bad move, really, thinking about it. And it was a huge trap. It was a huge trap. And I mean, we'll get to those scenes later on, but I was a bit disappointed really with Tyrion. I completely agree with what you're saying there. I just want to say I'm really impressed actually with this Baroque jungle. It is a one coater and you can see the shimmer. I do need to do a bit of cleanup, but I like it.
It's lovely.
Very, very
really deep. Nice.
It's a very deep green, but it kind of looks, it's one of those where in most lights it is going to look black. It's that dark, but I'm just wondering actually, Rachel, if you're still there, I'm wondering if this is going to be anything like Christmas Gone Plaid, but that'd be interesting. I could do a Clare compares. Sorry about all the smoke, by the way.
Sorry about all the gin.
I've actually got, look how classy I am, I've got a gin and tonic in a can.
Oh, so classy. I love that, but I read the sugar on the floor. So. Cheers. Clink.
Yeah, so where are we up to?
So Mel and Varys then you wanted to talk about, I think.
The only thing that I was going to say here is that Varys seemed a little bit rattled about what Mel was saying. You know, we're both going to die here. But then I watched it the second time and thought, well, that wasn't really too controversial to kind of foreshadow, really. I think it just illustrated that Varys doesn't have any good feelings about this religion, about the Lord of Light and the Red God. Maybe going back to his experiences when he was a child, and you know, that was all about. We still don't quite know how he ended up becoming a eunuch. You know, he talks about it, but we don't really. And then the blue flash, you know, the blue flames in the brazier, and this weird kind of booming voice and things. But it's like he doesn't like magic. We know that he doesn't like magic. He just seems very unnerved. When we saw him meet, I can't remember her name, but the Red Priestess in Marine, that freaked him out, like visibly freaked him out. And he seemed quite freaked out by Mel. So that was the only thing I observed about that, really. There was nothing more that I got from that interaction. Apart from they didn't look good outside. You could see that there weren't any studio lights. They both looked a bit...
Yeah, did you not notice the ad at the end, no? Varys the Spider coming to you with Sally Hansen tan, no? Did you not see that? It came up on my screen. He looks horrendous. I don't know what's like. They went overboard on the makeup and the tan. It's crazy. I don't know what's going on.
Speaking of which, I'm currently wearing The Long Farewell by Maybelline. It's not, by the way, but it should be.
Yeah. What do I have to say about this scene? Marco made a good point. Where's Marco's point? About he feels like Melisandre will come back with a group of Red Priests to fight the Long Night. I think that's a really good theory, actually, Marco. I actually think that's what's going to happen. And I have a question, Claire. Well, first of all, I think Varys' big Achilles heel is religion. He loves power, as he said in this scene. Everybody does, apparently. But I think religion is his Achilles heel, and that will lead to his downfall. And I just had a question about what she said about them both dying in Westeros. Only see, and we say that in inverted commas because Mel's visions are a bit funny. Can she only see things that happen within her own lifetime? So does that mean Varys will die either before or with her? So if she can only see things in her own lifetime.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I know that she sees things that, and I think they're all trained to see a danger to themselves first. Isn't that from what I can remember from the books? She's mentioned that a few times, that she would always be able to know when there's, they're trained to know when there's some kind of danger to themselves that's coming. I've got wet nails, Marwyn. Come on, get down. Oh, go on, lie down. He always wants to play when I'm busy. Right, where are we up to? Should we move into the throne room?
Yes. Yeah.
So we get we mentioned very briefly before we started that it was extremely visual, you know, the throne room. Dany sat on the throne. Jon seems quite overwhelmed by it, and it's she gives this history lesson, so you know that she knows where she's from and what's happened in the past in terms of their families. I'm trying to open this can without ruining my nails.
Oh God!
Oh, I've done it.
Oh,
did it with a pen.
It's a nightmare. I can't do anything at the moment. It's
the only time when a woman is completely helpless.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she was demanding that he bends the knee, and he's like, "Look, love, I'm not here for that. There's another war going on that we need to focus on." And there's this kind of play off about, you know, I'm here for your help. I don't need your help. And there's a lot of kind of eye contact between Tyrion and Jon, and there's a bit of a slip up from Davos around the. You know, he nearly died. He got, you know, he took a knife to the heart, and that was mentioned later on, obviously. The thing that the quote that I found quite funny in all of that interplay was Jon saying that everyone was children playing at a game, because it just reminded me of our experience as readers, and to an extent viewers of the show as well, that we're kind of all children playing at a game because we don't know the rules. We don't really know what's what, you know, and what the end game is really. We kind of think we know. And there was another quote later on from Daenerys where she says she says something like, we all need to learn, you know, maybe we all need to rethink what we think we know. So I thought that was quite interesting. She's saying, look, mate, I've got dragons. I don't need your help. I'm just going to put you to one side for a second. I don't know if you've noticed these things flying around, but yeah, we've got dragons. And it's going to be, I mean, these kind of scenes sort of, for me, kind of meld into each other. But, you know, Jon's trying to say, I'm not your enemy. I'm here to explain that there's a bigger fight going on. Sorry, 1 second. He's got a hiding place where he's trying to hide a tree, and it's like it's noisy.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, and I knew he was going to end up making a lot of noise. Yeah, Jon needs to. The thing is, Jon needs to provide proof of these grumpkins and snarks, because she doesn't seem to want to take this seriously. But yet she's got 3 dragons. You know, you would think on some level that she might believe that something sinister and weird could potentially be going on in the north. Otherwise, why is this guy here? Why would he risk coming to Dragonstone, knowing that she would demand for him to bend the knee? He's not just there to kind of see what she looks like, I'm sure. So it all seemed a bit teenage to me, to be honest with you. I wasn't enamored with the interaction between them. I thought visually it looked wonderful. I thought Daenerys was being a bit pompous and, like, you know, yeah. And I thought it could have gone better. I think as a book reader, I was expecting more from this. Stuart's saying it's the first king she's ever met. Well, so you think she was, and yeah, and it's the first queen that Jon's ever met. Yeah.
Well, he has bent the knee before. He bent the knee for Stannis, but he bent the knee as a member of the Night's Watch. And Jon the White, I'm going to start calling him Jon the White, isn't going to bend the knee for anybody. Anisha says that it wasn't what she was expecting, but it was okay, it was all right. And she was more shocked about the Mel comment about bringing ice and fire together. Anisha, that was a great, yeah, you're right, we missed that one. You're totally right. That was a great quote from Mel. Yeah, but you didn't feel they needed to spell it out for us. I think they were spelling that out for viewers. It's kind of amazing to me that Game of Thrones is still getting new viewers at this stage. That's so late into it. So I think Anisha's right there. There was a little bit of a, they said the name of the movie in the movie moment. If anyone, Family Guy. So yeah, it was a little bit like that. And Marco says Dany is looking for fire but end up with responsibility. Jon is looking for duty and responsibility but end up with power. Marco, I'm going to come back to that later on because yeah, I have a couple of thoughts on that as well. And Varnish Vixen, hello Varnish Vixen, says that she thinks Dany was way too cocky. I think Dany has lost the run of herself. For me, this would have been an 11 out of 10 scene if it wasn't for Dany. Not Emilia Clarke, not the acting. I think the writing for Dany. And also, whenever like Missandei stood there listing out all her titles, and I can't get the meme of the Starbucks mug with all of the titles of Dany's titles. Have you seen that? I can't get that out of my head when I hear all the titles now. It's ridiculous. They're saying it in this cavernous hall. And to like these two fellas that are like just off the boat, wrecked after walking the whole way up. They wouldn't even send the dragons down to drag them up, to fly them up. So lazy. They have to walk all the way up themselves. And Tyrion, his legs aren't great. We know that from the book. So she's very selfish, Dany. So then, like, just in this cavernous hall, Missandei just verbatim listing out all these titles, and Davos, which was hilarious. This is Jon Snow. It was brilliant, and it just echoed, and it's like 2 syllables that just echo out across this huge hall. And Marco said earlier on that Aegon built that hall to be threatening, and yet the most threatening words in those rooms in that room was Jon Snow, because it just echoed. And just, I'm going to get a bit geeky at the moment and to just say that technically this scene was brilliant. I think for me, technically, it's one of the best scenes Game of Thrones have ever done. It was echoey, it was dark, but the light was playing in really well. That kind of dance between Dany's really blonde hair and Jon's wolves on his breastplate, and the wind just kind of howling in, which kind of reminded me of Bran as well. I thought that was brilliant. The editing on it was brilliant. I loved how they had Dany sitting on the throne, and as the discussion progressed, she eventually had to come down to meet Jon. And I just thought that, to me, that is very representative of what will probably need to happen. Dany may eventually need to step aside to let Jon take over. If she is so determined with this passage of succession that she has, this right to succession that she has, then that right to succession also includes her nephew, and her nephew has a better claim than she does. So if she truly believes that the Targaryens need to sit the throne in Westeros, then she needs to, when it is all uncovered, she will need to believe that Jon needs to sit the throne. I really don't like the way they've kind of brushed aside all of the good things about Dany the person, and now we have Khaleesi, which is nice, but Khaleesi isn't. I don't think Khaleesi is going to be a good ruler. I think we need Dany if she's going to be a good ruler. So I don't know why they're not saying about Jon being stabbed in the heart. I can see why Jon doesn't want it said, doesn't want it bandied about. I do think there's foreshadowing.
Well, I think it's like, what do you mean? There's an army of the dead, but like you're dead. What does you know that
can like open up and show the scar? Like, is that going to happen in this series? Do you think? Do you think he'll show where he's been stabbed? Because we've had one other person stabbed in the heart, and that was the Night King, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's some sort of foreshadowing there, maybe with Jon or Dany, one of them, and she is very intrigued by that idea that he's been stabbed in the heart in some way. And remember, she had to eat the heart in order to be accepted by the Dothraki. A couple of things as well. Tyrion, again, just showing a weakness in his ability to rule. He's very eager for Jon to bend the knee to Dany. And again, that idea that Dany has no court. She has no people. She has nobody around her. Like even her best intentions, and she's not attacking King's Landing. I mean, in the next scene, we're going to have the people celebrating Euron. The people don't know why Dany is there. The people don't know who Dany is. They don't know she's a good person. They don't know she's not attacking because she doesn't want to kill them. They don't see that. So it's very, her empty court is contrasted with Cersei's very full court later on.
Yes.
And it's another one of the technical things in that scene. It's just beautiful. I just thought it was, and just the walk up to the big long walk up to meet her as well. And someone else said that, yeah, it is the first queen that he has met, unless you count Sansa. But yeah, no, the other, yeah, Tyrion, he has to understand Jon can't bend the knee to Dany. As soon as he does that, he loses all the northern armies. Also, like a couple of weeks later, or like in that scene, actually, they find out that the Greyjoys and Dorne are gone. Like that's off the table now. So why would Jon sacrifice his northern men to Dany? Like, who does she really care about? The Dothraki and the Unsullied.
Yeah.
She doesn't care about Westerosi army. It's clear to anybody. Nobody's going to fight for her in Westeros. I find it very hard, unless she puts on a great show. I don't see. Well, yeah, I don't see.
She doesn't. I mean, Varys came running into the throne room or shuffling into the throne room to tell her that about Euron's attack and the
clutching his pearls.
Yeah. I did love that scene, but yeah, she didn't seem that bothered. I think it's more kind of it's point scoring, really, isn't it? At the moment, it's kind of, it feels to me like the last couple of episodes have been. It's almost like episode 1, episode 2, Cersei was an advantage, and again, episode 3. At some point, the tide's going to have to turn, but it seems, to all intents and purposes, that Cersei has kind of won the last 2 rounds of this battle, if you like. But then again, there isn't a great deal of substance to that, because this all relies on Euron's input, and he can turn on a penny at any point. So it's all a little bit tenuous, really, at the moment. I don't think she does have a clue about or any depth of feeling whatsoever about any of them, even when Queen of Thorns was there and saying, be a dragon. I don't think she really holds stock. I think the person that was more pissed off than anyone else about what was going on and about things going wrong and losing, especially to Cersei, was Tyrion. So we move outside of the initial throne room scene, and we see Tyrion and Jon having this brood off outside. Where I did think that was quite funny, actually. He's never looked so emo as he did in that scene, and he did see, they mentioned like the Northern Fool a few times, and it just does seem, when they're taken out of context, like Daenerys when she's taken out of Essos and planted into Westeros, she seems even more Targaryen than she's ever done before. And Jon, when he's not in the north and he travels to the south, it's like his accent and he's the furs and everything, he just seems uber northern. So when you take them out of context, it does seem a little bit like, oh, this is really, they just seem to appear really strange. But Tyrion was talking about, again, this relationship management. So he was trying to kind of broker this relationship between them, where she protects people, asks the people that are here, you're trying to protect people. You're essentially on the same team, you're on the same page. I think Anita was saying in the comments that it was very teenage. There is that kind of frustrating kind of, you just want to smack them around the head and say, get over yourselves and deal with what you're facing at the moment. I know we're probably going to talk about this later, but the promo for next week, there's a clip at the beginning where Daenerys is really pissed off and she's saying, I'm losing, you know, and she's just angry about that. And I think this is when she begins to realise, actually, I do need allies. I can't just swan around the place saying I was born to rule the Seven Kingdoms.
And overestimate the power of her children. By the way, that makes me cringe when she calls them her children. And I know there's this like very far out there fan theory that the Valyrians may have tried to mate with dragons way back in the past. And that's why they're maybe a little bit more susceptible to fire and all that kind of thing. But yeah, it just makes me cringe when she says.
I think that's might be where grayscale comes from, a kind of messed up experiment. Around mating dragons and humans, but because it is scales, so
Can I just say there as well, when she loves the sound of her own voice, Dany. She goes on and on and on, and I don't necessarily think that's bad writing. I think they're doing that on purpose. I think we're going to get the old bait and switch with Dany later on. But I love when she gives Jon this long speech, and you know his answers are very short, very to the point. You know, Aegon broke the oath, so that pact is dead. So, and then she says, you know, you need to bend the knee because it's blah blah blah. I'm right to be on the throne, yada yada yada. And she says, are you willing to bend the knee? And Jon just says, I am not. And again, it just echoes across. And she's eye to eye with him at that stage, and it's so much more powerful coming from Jon than because Dany has struggled, but every time Dany has struggled, we've seen her set fire to something or have the dragons come in and save her. We haven't really had that with Jon. Jon has done, when she's given Jon this whole thing about, I'm Daenerys, I've done everything on my own, blah blah blah, I've believed in myself, yada yada yada. And it's like, yeah, Jon just had to pull himself through, just shake himself off, get up and keep going. And for me, I wrote it down here, Dany wants power because she thinks she's entitled to it. Jon has power because he knows the people are entitled to it. They're entitled to somebody to protect them. And when he sees nobody else around willing to protect them, he steps up. Whereas Dany does it because she feels entitled to it.
I think he's grown up a lot more as well, in that he's been through that, you know, kill the boy and become a man. And he knows that the North need a leader. And I think Marco was saying before, and I did think this, we was very, very reminiscent of Ned in this episode, more so than ever. And I think he's a good representative for the North. I think he's very out of place not in the North, and it makes me a bit nervous that any of the Starks are outside, you know, outside of Winterfell. But yeah, so then we get there's another final scene before. I think there's a scene in Dragonstone right at the very end that links in with the narrative around Castle Rock, but I think we should save that, you know, when they're around the painted table. But before that, there's this scene where it's just, there are no advisors around, there's no Tyrion, it's literally just Dany and Jon stood outside. And it's like the first time again that ice and fire are coming together, and it's just the two of them. You know, and she says, yeah, you can have as much dragon glass, I'll help, you know, I'll provide men to mine it for you. And he seems like delighted by that. And do you believe me then? Do you believe me? I mean, is he going to have to go and get proof, do you think? Is this the next thing? Is this what's going to happen when Jon goes back north? He's going to have to go, he's going to feel that he has to go and like go and provide proof that this threat beyond the wall exists.
My theory is that a neat way for them to do it, because we're speeding by. I mean, I don't know how many people are aware of that, but by the end of this episode, we are supposed to believe that Jon has been there for weeks, I think, right? He's been there a long time at this stage. So the brooding up at the cliff when Tyrion says to him that children are not their fathers or something like that, which was interesting because, as you're saying, he's more like Ned in this scene, but when Tyrion says that to him, he's actually right. Jon isn't his father. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought there. What did you ask me again?
About whether or not he's going to have to go up north and get some proof.
Oh, yeah. No, I think the neat way that they're going to tie that up maybe is if Jorah comes back. Maybe he's had conversations with Sam about this, about the White Walkers. I don't know. Or Jorah might vouch for him, or Jorah might have to go north with him.
Yeah.
And come back then to Dany and say, yeah, no, it's true. There's
maybe she sends him as like some kind of envoy of, you are from the north.
Yeah.
Your father was at one point the Lord Commander. Go up and check out with your own eyes what is going on up there. Are they just making it up? There must be something to it.
I kind of feel Jorah. Sorry, no, I kind of feel that Jorah will say to Dany, Daenerys, like or Khaleesi or whatever, he'll bring her back down to reality and say, listen to your instincts. Because Dany isn't listening to her instincts. Jon is. And it's kind of interesting that Jon is refusing to bend the knee. Because remember, Jon, he did bend the knee, as I said, for Stannis before, but he was a Night's Watch and a bastard. But I kind of feel like Jon's royal blood is maybe kicking in. His royal instincts are kicking in. And he's not bending the knee, not just because he has allegiance to the North, but he has allegiance to the Starks. He has allegiance to his heritage now. The whole of the North have risen up pretty much and said, we accept you now as Jon Stark. So you need to start behaving as Jon Stark. So I don't know. I think Jorah will be a big. I think Dany needs Jorah. She needs somebody who knew her as the beggar queen or the beggar princess to come back and really ground her. I think that's what's going to happen. But I also did like when Jon said to Dany that you'll be ruling over a graveyard, and she continues to say over and over, I'm going to be queen of the Seven Kingdoms. That doesn't necessarily have to conclude the North. If the humans, the living, win out over the whites, then everything beyond the wall is technically going to be another part of Westeros. That's potentially a seventh kingdom, excluding the North that could still belong to the Starks. So there might be that. But I did also like the way Jon said, sorry now, I have it here. Jon said that he's not beholden to his ancestors' vows, and that kind of made me think about the wall as well, because there is something there, potentially some sort of vow or pact made between the men and the White Walkers or the Night's King originally, and just that idea that he's not beholden to old vows. I wonder, will that come back to him? Will he have to reevaluate that perhaps? And Anita is bringing up questions about this in the chat as well, to do with the White Walkers. She's just asked, do you think Jorah is free from grayscale? I felt like T-Baby when he shook Sam's hand. Yeah, I know. I don't know. I mean,
it was nice in that it was very, he genuinely was thanking him, and I don't know whether I've mentioned this before, but it kind of feels like Gio, I don't know if this was in the show, but it was definitely in the books, about him saying to Sam, his last words were, "Tell my son that I forgive him for what he did." And it kind of felt like Jorah's father had somehow saved his son through Sam being able to cure the grayscale. And I thought, I wonder if Jorah will recognise that and realise that his father has had an influence in saving him through Sam, and that will mean that he will vouch for Sam, and he will go back up to Daenerys and say, look, there is so you need to pay attention to this. There is some credence in this. It's not just, you know, rolling your eyes at these grumpkins and snarks and what have you. There's something that we need to take seriously here, and we need to invest in it, and we need these people as allies. Stop telling him to bend the effing knee, and just, you know, and that we need to be a bit more diplomatic about it.
Yeah, I think Jorah will convince her to be more Stannis-like, and less Cersei. Because right now she's very, she's kind of like Cersei. She's leaning closer to Cersei than to Stannis. And I know Stannis isn't a good model either. But in terms of taking the threat seriously in the north and respecting the different cultures of Westeros and knowing what duty is, Stannis was our man. You know, he was the rightful heir to the throne as well.
I love Stannis in the books. I thought they destroyed him in the show. I was so, you know,
a lot of that was to do with the actor as well, because he didn't get on with anybody and he hated the show. I think there was a lot of bad blood there. Yeah, it was unfortunate. Yeah,
he wasn't very nice about it after the show, after he left.
So
and they didn't even show him dying. You know, that was really bad. You know, he didn't even get a proper ending.
Same with Olenna.
Yeah,
which we'll get to.
Yeah. Should we move on to King's Landing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do it. Our favorite Victoria's Secrets model, or Vivienne Westwood model. Is it Vivienne? We're going with Vivienne Westwood, right?
Yeah. He does look like he's just walked off the catwalk. Yeah. He's very 80s Euron, you know.
I love it. I'm all about it.
So hot right now.
Yeah. Totally.
And just Marwyn, stop it. Go and lie down. Yes, so we see Euron walking through the streets. There's a few things that I want to say here. It looks like Yara is like, he's got a collar and everything, right? It's like she's now his pet, and he's just going to torture her and just probably do some really horrible things to her. It just makes me wonder whether or not Yara is going to take the place of Damp Hair in the books and just be this kind of torture plaything for Euron, which I think would just be horrible. Well, I mean, I don't know. I hope that Theon comes back and finds his mojo and rescues his sister. The walk up into the Red Keep, I thought, was a throwback, very much an obvious throwback to Cersei's walk of shame from last season. I thought that the people of King's Landing are a bit stupid, you know. They were, first of all, they're throwing, there's plenty of things that they could have thrown at them, but they were throwing food at them, and it's like, come on, you know, there's a war going on, and there's a huge food shortage. Anyway, he walks, you know, he kind of glides into the throne room at the Red Keep and throws the two sand snakes down and says, I give you justice. So there you go. That's the episode title. That's the Queen's Justice. You know, I've brought you these gifts. Obviously, the other Queen's Justice was the Queen of Thorns right at the very end, where she gets her justice. One thing I want to ask you here, Catherine, is what doesn't seem to wash with me is the way that Cersei very easily dismissed Euron as, you'll get what you want after the war. And it's like, Euron doesn't seem to me to be the most patient of characters. You know, I thought that he might have said, whoa, hang on a minute. I've just done this for you, and you're going to now tell me to just sideline me and tell me to wait. So yeah, that that kind of
he doesn't only get
confused me.
sidelined, he gets sent straight back out to Castle Rock.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But he
So,
doesn't. She doesn't announce that she's going to give him anything. It's
no.
just this like we'll see. Let's
She
wait
says,
until after the war.
she says you will have your heart's desire. Is that what she wants? Or does she say you'll have your reward? What does she say?
Well, yeah, you'll have your heart's desire
Yeah.
after the war, rather than thank you very much for bringing you know, of course I'll marry you. I
She
honestly
looks so
thought
scared.
that, yeah, I thought they were going to get. I thought that there would be a very quick scene, similar to Tommen and Marjorie, where it's like, oh, they've got married, and that's kind of solidified that alliance. But he seems quite happy to kind of go, right, okay, we'll see what happens. I'll continue to fight for you. And I just thought he would have been demanding a little bit more than that.
Yeah. So my thing with Euron, I loved Euron. Euron is saving these King's Landing scenes. We are like in full on cringe, annoyance. I can't even, like, it's just a mix of emotions. I cannot stand seeing Jamie getting so beaten down by this woman. I'm so sick of it. Like,
Jamie's
just,
disappointing.
oh,
Jamie's very
so
disappointing.
So disappointing. And I'm loving the taunting with Euron, and I wonder, is that playing into what you're saying? Because I think now that Cersei is open with Jamie, with her relationship with Jamie. By the way, I'm loving how all the handmaids around her have short hair as well. Like, it's really nice touches. Like, Game of Thrones is great at those little, like, observations.
Yeah, that's the fashion now.
Yeah, like Marjorie before. Remember, Sansa had Marjorie's hairstyle, wasn't it? Or she had the King's Landing hairstyle and then Marjorie's hairstyle, and now it's Cersei's hairstyle. But yeah, also, did we need another sex scene? I don't think we did. I'm okay with the sex scenes, but I don't need to see Jamie and Cersei sex scenes anymore. Yeah,
it's weakened. It's continuing to become weaker and weaker and weaker as a character, and even he's supposed to be a renowned warrior, and at that scene at the very end, he uses what's known in the books as a woman's weapon, which is poison. You know, he's just complete. It's like he's completely like, you know.
That's a good point. Yeah,
he's totally like, you know, she's just ripped everything from him, and the way he was kind of mooning over, you know, staring at her when they're in bed together. I mean, that was just, for me, that was just, obviously that's her. That was her just wanting to, you know, that's just the power thing. It's the kind of like, right, okay, I've won that. I now want my spoils.
Cersei, for me, it can go only two ways. Cersei will marry Euron, and Jamie will kill both of them because he'll be so obsessed and envy and like just consumed with rage about it. Or Cersei will kill Euron because she has absolutely no intention of giving up power to another man ever again. She doesn't want to be a trophy ever again. And yet, when she's down there and she has that scene with Illyria and the daughter, and she comes back up and she's just like intoxicated on the power and just so turned on by the power of it all. And the first thing she does is to give a blowjob to Jamie. It just completely undermines this like sense of empowerment that she has. Why would she do that? It doesn't make any sense. And I just feel like, I don't know, is it her only way to get, like, I know Jamie tries to refuse her, so maybe it's the only way she can get him to actually cooperate. But I don't know. It's
like she's almost behaving like Robert, isn't she?
Yeah. And Jamie did that to her over Joffrey's body, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm disappointed very much in Jamie, and I'm wondering and hoping what will it be that makes him turn his back on Cersei. I'm hoping that he does. I mean, he now knows that his brother is not responsible for Joffrey's death.
Yes. Yes, I never thought about that angle. Yeah, you're totally right. Yeah.
So it's, you know, is it? I mean, Brienne seems to be a bit of a weakness for Jaime, so maybe meeting up with Brienne again might knock a bit of sense into him. But I just feel like shaking him and saying, "What the hell are you doing?" He just seems to be going along with it. And like, you know, Elena pointed out,
I think
she's got you.
I think we're getting Euron and Cersei getting it on. I really do, because I also Euron
make a good pair.
I do too. Actually, I think that'll be actually really hot. That's okay. I'm okay with that sexy, but because it makes sense, right? I don't think Jaime and Cersei makes sense anymore, but just because of Jaime, and I think she was so disappointed when Jaime came back. For her, Jaime was emasculated when he lost his good arm, right, or his good hand. So when she sees Euron come in and deliver the sandsakes to her, that's something Jaime couldn't do. Jaime brought home the body of Marcella. So Euron doing this, and now Euron, okay, Jaime's going to bring gold, but that gold has to go straight to the Iron Bank probably. Euron is going to completely destroy Tyrion's plan. Like, it's really Euron that's going to destroy it. He's destroying all of their vessels. So I think that's going to really, I think Cersei's going to enjoy that, and she's not in her right mind. And Olena's right. Cersei, I think this is what leaves me empty inside. I'm sick of seeing Cersei win at this stage, and I'm sick of seeing Jaime accept it. I really am.
Just want to say hello to Lisa. Lisa's popped up in the chat, so hi, Lisa.
Oh,
hi. Yeah, so Lisa's now moderating the chat. Actually, how do I do that? How do I make Lisa a moderator?
If you just circle over the comment, 3 little dots come up beside her name. If you just kind of put your mouse over her name in the chat.
Oh God, I don't know. I don't know if I can do that. Oh, can I do that on my phone?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
No, I don't think I can. But yeah, Lady Lisa is in charge in the chat. She's having technical problems, so hopefully she'll be able to stick around. But Anita is asking, no, Varnish Vixen. Hi, Varnish Vixen was asking, will Jaime tell Cersei what Elena's, has confessed at the end? Will he go back and say, our brother, is it actually innocent?
No, because she. I don't know. I don't know if I think it may be that by the time Jaime gets back to King's Landing, Cersei has already married Euron, or something has already happened there. I don't know.
This timeline thing, though, is just, that's one of the things that just kind of made me think about this episode. I mean, there was just, there's the assumptions about the timeline, and then there's Cersei coming straight out with, give me 2 weeks and you'll have everything back. The debt will be paid. And it's like, come on. I mean, in the books, it's especially nauseating because there are characters in the books that where their whole, throughout an entire book will just be their journey from one location to another. And I know that they have to speed things up, and I know that we've only got a few episodes left, but even for just show watchers rather than book readers, it's just beginning to become completely implausible now with the timeline. And
I wish they had sped it up in other seasons, actually. Now it just seems ridiculous, but I can see why they're doing it if there's a purpose to it, I guess. But I don't know. I'm not loving it now, I have to say. There was something else I was going to say about Cersei and the Iron Bank. Did we get to that yet?
That's the next bit. Yeah.
Sorry. No, I know what I was going to say. You said Yara was going to be damp hair. I actually think the show has often combined 2 characters. Now, this is way out there and very tinfoil, but Could she be damp hair and the girl whose name I can't remember in the book that gets pregnant by Euron and he straps her to the ship? Do you remember that girl? Because she has his baby inside. Yeah, so I wonder, is there a possibility that Euron will impregnate Yara?
And she just becomes like the, what do you call it?
Well, or, you know, and then the child that she's carrying is the next heir to fight, you know, maybe. I don't know. I was wondering, would she, because I think he's not gonna be kind to Yara at all. It's not gonna go well for Yara.
But the tides may turn. It could be that you know, Daenerys jumps on a dragon next episode and burns the shit out of the Iron Fleet, including Euron. And that might be the last that we see of him. You know, that could be her sort of like, you know, round 3 to Cersei kind of thing.
Does she have a saddle?
I don't know. She did have a saddle.
Yeah, but doesn't Tyrion have one that means you won't fall off?
Well, he's a bit of an engineer, isn't he, when it comes to saddles and things like that? Because he designed one for Bran when Bran had his fall. I'm just looking at the comments here. Yeah, the timeline's very choppy. Anita is asking if Jaime leaves, will he take the food? I think he will take everything with him that he can get his hands on from the Tyrells, but this could be the debt that's well, he's going to take the gold. I think we can see from the promo in the next episode that the Lannister forces are going to take all of the wealth from Highgarden and transport it back to King's Landing. Now, whether or not they make it, maybe they get hijacked on the way back and the gold doesn't make it, because there's a clip, I paused it when I was watching the promo, where Jaime kind of opens up one of the kind of trucks on the way that's full of gold bullions, which makes me think that seems quite vulnerable. Maybe they'll get attacked by the Brotherhood without banners, maybe the Hound and Dondarrion will turn up and say, I don't know, you know.
My theory is that that will get to the Iron Bank. It's a good way, it's a neat way of getting rid of the Iron Bank. That storyline, tying it all up, because they have to start tying up storylines. I think that's a good way of getting rid of the Iron Bank. However, it's also a good way of turning the people against the crown, because my question is that a Baratheon debt? Is it a crown debt, or is it actually a Lannister debt? And what way will the people see it? If suddenly, it's one thing to ransack the Tyrells on behalf of the crown and the people. It's another thing to ransack the Tyrells on behalf of the Lannisters. The Lannisters aren't popular. And people keep forgetting that in the eyes of Westeros, Cersei is a Baratheon. Now, once it gets out, and it get out very quickly that she's sleeping with Jaime, it's confirmed now. And now
she doesn't seem to care.
And now suddenly they've stolen all this gold and they've paid off their debts to the Iron Bank, because a Lannister always pays their debts. There's no Baratheons around to pay a debt unless Cersei is, but wait, Cersei's sleeping with her brother, so now in the people's eyes, she's a Lannister. How dare she give away all our gold? We're starving here. We just threw all our food at Euron. We're starving. So why is she giving away all our gold? So I think it would be, I kind of think it'll play, if it goes that way, it'll be a nice kind of plot device to finally turn the people on Cersei, because right now, I'm with you. I don't know why they're like, they are pretty stupid. Although we're probably being quite elitist, Claire. But because we'd probably throw nail varnish, the equivalent of throwing food at the time.
Just a couple of questions. Lisa's asking, wasn't Dany riding a dragon for the preview in the next episode? I think there was a brief second of a dragon in the air, and I think I have seen Dany on a dragon, definitely. Maybe that will happen next episode. And Anita is asking about Tarly. you know, is he on board with the Lannisters? Will he kind of be in league with Jaime? Because if they take everything from Highgarden to give to basically they're giving Highgarden to Tycho, the Iron Bank, which means
today
that's what today that's what
that's
Cersei's
League of
promised.
Gentlemen. Sorry,
that's what Cersei's plan is. However, Jaime has already told. This is maybe where they come into conflict. Jaime has already told Tarly, look, you know, fight with us. Forget about the name Tarly and the fact that you're from the Reach and that you're bannerman of the Tyrells. You can be warden of the West, would it be? Warden of the West?
Yeah.
That may not be an enticing prospect anymore for Sam's father if everything's been raided to pay this debt to the Iron Bank. So there's some tension going. It's not all as straightforward. She seems to think that she's swimming through it all, but you know, she's taking lots of chances now, Cersei, and that's
also
usually
who is Cersei taking advice for? Like as far as we know, Jaime doesn't know about this plan fully, right? He doesn't know necessarily that all of this is going to the Iron Bank, right? Qyburn seems to be the only one that she's actually taken advice from.
And she said he's the cleverest man that she knows.
Yeah, so I don't think, and it could have been his idea, let's face it, I don't think Tarly will like the fact that she has basically King Henry VIII at Highgarden and just ransacked it and kept everything. Or she's not actually keeping everything, she's paying off a Lannister debt, as I said. But I think Tarly, I don't think it's going to get to that point where I think he's going to be out fighting Dothraki soon enough. But
I agree with Marco that the gold isn't going to arrive at King's Landing. I think it's going to be hijacked on the way.
Do you think,
yeah, Marco, who do you think is going to take the gold if it's not going to arrive at King's Landing? Is it going to be stolen en route? And if so, who is going to steal it?
Because the BWB are up north, right? Although they're not all up north, I guess. Howland Reed?
That would be good.
Lady Stoneheart?
That would be great. That would be great. Yeah.
Gendry will row. Gendry's coming back to steal the gold. You heard it here first. I just
want to say just one thing about the Iron Bank and Tycho and Cersei's conversation, and I'm being a complete book snob here, but it's a travesty. It's an absolute travesty that in the show they're going down the road of Braavos and the Iron Bank colluding with the slave trade at all, because Braavos is proudly born from anti-slavery, basically free slaves created. Braavos is renowned for having it's kind of like banks of fog that hide the fact. Nobody even knew that Braavos existed as a location for a long time, and that's how it was created. It was created by free slaves.
Outing the Iron Bank, is that a book spoiler to come? Because the Iron Bank isn't Braavos, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're not, you know, there's lots of questions about are the Iron Bank in cahoots with the Faceless Men?
Yeah.
Again,
the slavery thing, I agree with you. I don't think, and we have a book expert in the chat, Meridian Mormont, how are you, and welcome.
Hi, Meridian.
And she agrees with you, Claire. I do, yeah. I just think Mark Gatiss in general has been criminally underused.
He's a brilliant actor. I love him. He's so gothic.
Yeah, oh, it's great. But just that storyline, I agree. Yeah, I don't know. Again, it's just like, it actually hurts me in the pit of my stomach to see Cersei constantly winning in this episode. I don't like it at all. And yeah, I don't know. I think her move with High Garden though, it's very Tywin, very Tywin. I think it just shows. I don't like that either. It's like crap. She's actually good at this.
Yeah.
But
well, yeah, she's been a fantastic actress.
But her move
she's
with Jamie is a Tyrion move to out her relationship like that. That's something Tyrion would do in the heat of the moment. It's a very stupid thing to do. I think that will definitely play into her downfall.
She's just been overconfident.
And I said that to you last week. Once you see that sigil move from being a stag to a lion on King's Landing, Cersei's days are numbered. That's a big problem then. Yeah. Once the people start seeing her as a Lannister, that's a problem. Because the people don't like the Lannisters. You know? Jamie is a Kingslayer. They don't know why. Tyrion is a Kingslayer, you know?
Can we take a quick whistle-stop tour through some of the shorter, smaller scenes before we finish off? Can we finish off at Winterfell? Does that sound okay?
Finish at Winterfell.
So there's a few small scenes. We get Theon dragged out of the water and he's berated by the Ironborn. You wouldn't be alive if the queen of, the Ironborn hadn't been taken, and it looks like I think either there was a shot in this episode or it's from the promo, but I think Theon arrives at Dragonstone. He turns up at Dragonstone, I think.
Right.
So I don't know. That was just a very quick scene that didn't really say anything to me, but that it was there, so it was worth mentioning. The Citadel. We've mentioned this about Jorah already. His infection's gone. I just want to know whether or not Sam and Jorah will meet again. I hope they will. They talked about the paths possibly crossing again. What do we think? The big question in all of this is, two things for me in this scene. I'm saying short scene, but I do love Sam. I absolutely love Sam. And just kind of tying it back to just what we mentioned recently about the Tarleys. I think that Dickon, who's the younger brother of Sam, in his father's eyes is a hero. He's handsome, he's a hero, he's gonna die this season without question in battle. That's my bold prediction, that he's not going to make it. And I think what we're going to see is the real hero, the real heroic son was Sam all along. And he seems to have some kind of gift, Sam. I think we are underestimating him. He said that he cured the grayscale just by reading the book and following the instructions. Well, if that was the case, why hasn't it been cured a long, long time? I think he's got some kind of special skill. Along with, Archmeister Ebro said you should be proud. And I think, yes, Sam, you should be proud. I think everybody underestimates Sam, and I think he is the son that will be the hero, not this ridiculous Dickon. I think he's just going to get wasted in battle. And the other big thing from this is, what will Sam find in those scrolls? He's bound to find something. Now, what else is there for Sam to find out that would benefit the plot? He's already cured grayscale. He's already given Jon the information about the dragon glass and where to find it. So if Sam remains in Old Town in the Citadel and he's going through these old scrolls, what is there for him to find that will benefit the plot? And I suppose that's the question.
I totally agree with you. I had in my notes as well, will Sam find something in those scrolls? He has to find something in those scrolls, because I don't think anything, I don't think grayscale is that mind-blowing a cure. It's just for Jorah. So there has to be another reason. We said it before, dragon glasses and mind-blowing thing. We are getting a major spoiler this season for a book, I heard.
Oh.
So I think this is going to be it. I think whatever Sam finds is going to be it.
So is it going to be the R plus L equals J?
Would he find that in the scrolls? Maybe, I guess. Maybe something to do with Dawn, the sword, a Lightbringer.
Maybe.
Maybe something to go back with the grayscale being connected to the Targaryens trying to breed with dragons. It could be that.
Yeah, Lisa's saying in the comments, John's real parents. I think that's probably all that is left to be discovered. And I just think if anybody is going to tell John who his parents are, and for him to actually believe it or even be bothered about it, it would have to come from somebody like Sam. Because he has complete faith in Sam. He even announced that to the rest of the Northern Lords in the last episode.
Do you know what it could be, though? It could be the fact, because I'm bringing it back in full circle to a comment we had earlier on about the Song of Ice and Fire that Mel makes, and it's a bit cringy saying the name of the movie in the movie. Maybe it's to do with that. Maybe it's the importance of this song. Maybe it's the importance of John being two sides here, of two very different sides. Maybe that's the thing, the dragon and the ice coming together. I know there was a chat a couple of weeks ago about, the fact that is there a dragon under Winterfell because there's warm pools there, and Secrets of the Citadel has a theory that maybe Rhaegar is buried there, that he's the dragon under Winterfell. I don't think that's possible. I think if anything, it's going to be like his harp and Dawn.
We've got Anita and Meridian in the comments saying that maybe he taps into the source of magic in the world, so finding out about things like the seasons, and the globe thing. So yeah, maybe he finds out a little bit more about one of the things that we mentioned very briefly last week, the whole elemental magic, and maybe he discovers a bit more about ice magic. We know very little about ice magic, so maybe he finds out a little bit more about that, which is
or about whites, or the nature of being undead. I mean, Bran. I still think it's going to be Bran that tells John about his parents, but maybe it is going to be about the importance of being a white, or what it means to be undead. I mean, that's going to be pretty key as well. The Theon scene, I didn't really take anything from it. What I have noticed as well, with time moving so fast, everybody's wearing much warmer clothes. So if you've noticed, everybody's wearing more. The clothes seem to be getting warmer as they move on. So, but yeah, no, that was it. I agree with you about Dickon. Yeah.
I've just been asked to try and speed it up a little bit because it's getting quite late here, and so speaking of timelines, we need to speed things up a little bit. But we did have a brief visit to Casterly Rock and Highgarden, and within a few minutes, really, it was just like a quick pit stop tour. One of the things that so if we think about Casterly Rock first, we get the narration about Casterly Rock and the sewer systems and everything from Tyrion. But basically, without going through it all again, the key things from that is the Unsullied are now trapped in Casterly Rock, which I think is a horrible way for Grey Worm to go. He's made this thing about he's the bravest one, and he needs to die bravely in battle. And if he just ends up kind of, being starved out of Casterly Rock by the by Euron's forces, by the Iron Fleet, that would be horrific. So I think something has to happen with Dany on a dragon, where she just burns the shit out of Euron's ships next episode, and hopefully maybe Grey Worm even makes it, but I do think he has to die bravely.
The dragons accidentally also set fire to the Casterly Rock and they all burn alive, and that might be what turns Missandei against.
Maybe, maybe we could have like a Harrenhal 2.0 at Casterly Rock.
And that would be quite fitting because Tywin in the show was a Harrenhal.
Yes. Yes, very good. Is it worth talking about? I mean, is somebody betraying Dany, do we think?
Yes, I think
And
I think it's Missandei. I think it's Missandei or Tyrion. Yeah. But I think it's Missandei.
Do you think it could be Varys?
I would make I said that to you before, the three heads of the sheep. There's a lot of evidence that it could be Varys, but again it's going to be one for love. So I think you're right. I think Missandei makes the most sense. Tyrion possibly, if he decides, I don't know, maybe the love for Sansa or the love for Westeros over the love for Dany. I don't know. I think it makes more sense for Missandei.
Let's talk about Highgarden. I have to say, one of the things that made me laugh, especially when we're getting annoyed and weirded out about the whole timeline thing, is how weird was that Lannister march when they were approaching Highgarden? They were like, it was like they were taking tiny little pin steps towards Highgarden, and it was almost like a complete piss take of the, not only are we going to get to Highgarden in 2 weeks, but we're going to do it in tiny little steps. I just thought that was really weird. I also thought it was quite ironic that Olenna, I did think that was a brilliant scene. I thought that I don't think we didn't really pay too much attention to. I did think that the two most dramatic kind of scenes in the whole episode were the sand snake, Cersei being so evil with the sand snakes in the dungeon, and I think we skipped over that. Do you think that we're ever going to see them again? Do you think that's it? Do you think that somebody's going to rescue them? I mean, I was thinking like Bronn possibly could come back to King's Landing with Jaime, and maybe, you know,
he's got she poisoned her, so that's it. Tyene is gone.
Yeah. Maybe we won't see them again, or maybe they get set freed when, you know, I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen to Cersei, when Cersei's going to fall. When she does, it's going to be massive, but maybe it won't be this season. But yeah, just dramatically that one, and the acting and just everything was like, and the way that they were kind of pulling together at the end, and it was like so close. But yeah, so I did love that scene. But also the other scene that was very dramatic, going back to Highgarden, was with Olenna. And the way that she said, ironically, "You must be very wise by now," to Jaime, and it's like, no, he's not. No. He still hasn't learned his lessons, and that was just perfect. Though that was, you know, in terms of the title of the episode, for me that was the Queen's Justice, but it was Queen of Thorns, and I just thought that was perfect. That was very poetic.
And I love the way you picked up on the fact that he used the coward's method to get rid of her. And
you know, he's a warrior, but
and so in contrast to her knocking back the poison and just completely admitting to killing his son and to being a kingslayer. And in fact, she was as justified in slaying that king as Jaime was potentially, or arguably, in slaying Aegon. Joffrey was evil, and I loved that scene. I loved when she said that she will be joining Tywin, and we don't get concepts of heaven and hell that much in Game of Thrones or in A Song of Ice and Fire. So the idea of hell, I mean, that's a very much our world coming into the Game of Thrones world. But I liked it. I liked the idea that she was okay. She was going to be with Tywin. She was going to ask himself, why didn't Tywin just raid Highgarden when Casterly Rock was out of gold? Why did he wait?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Tywin was a little bit more sneaky and diplomatic than Cersei, but yeah, just say in the comments that Meridian saying no, we won't ever see the Sand Snakes again, and Anita is saying that an epic way for the Queen of Thorns to go, because she's going to be causing trouble even after she's gone. You know, that just that kind of thing. He crinkled his nose, and it was just that, like, oh my God, you know, and it was just right to the last minute of her life.
Yeah.
She was the Queen of Thorns. You know, she was like true to her name right up until the very last minute.
But going back to your question, will he say this to Cersei, or will the Jaime that we know he can be kick in and realize that Joff is dead because of Cersei?
Yeah.
Like, that this is all to do with Cersei. She couldn't rein him in, and you know, she's been blaming Tyrion. She turned him against Tyrion. Tyrion is now on the other side. I mean, will that kick in? Especially
the first episode, she said to him, Tommen betrayed us, and it was he said he didn't even respond to that. He didn't even respond to it, and it's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
You know, you get a grip.
Also, does Jaime know what she's doing to the Sand Snake? Does she know what she's doing to Illyria? Does he know? Sorry, does he know what she's doing to the Silent Sister? Does he have any inclination of what this side of Cersei is? We're not getting an impression that he does.
No.
And he's just so naive. And by the way, is he Kingsguard still? Because he was defrocked by Tommen. Just when you were saying about Casterly Rock.
Oh yeah.
He actually lost his cloak. I'm not sure, is he wearing it? Has anyone noticed in the chat? Is he still wearing his white cloak in the show? I think he is, but I'm not sure, because the Kingsguard aren't supposed to be sleeping either with anybody.
With anyone,
So, yeah. But do you want to move on to Winterfell, because I know it's getting pretty late.
Yes, let's do it. So we get Sansa being quite strategic and giving orders, and Littlefinger saying that, you know, it's very flattering for her that she's been a leader, whilst also continuing to be a bit weird and cryptic about. I mean, the thing about Littlefinger that just makes me, I wonder if he's even all his plotting and scheming, if he's even really thought about the threat from the north, that other battle, and they're right there. It's kind of like they're the last bastion, really, before you get to this horror that's beyond the wall. He just seems to be quite dismissive of it, and he's still more interested in what's going on with, you know, with the living and the fight with Cersei, and the kind of, you know, the east, north, west, south, fight it in your mind, and it's like, none of this matters. None of this really matters. And he did say that. He did mention it. We would, you know, if that happens, then it doesn't matter anyway. But if the living prevail, then, you know, and all these little strategies and weird cryptic kind of advice to Sansa come into play. But I don't know. I don't think Littlefinger's much longer for this world, to be honest.
No, but he did have two of the greatest lines of the show. To the kind of like Game of Thrones, like to drop in lines that kind of connect to the books and the viewers and all that kind of thing. He said to her, "Life will win out, and then what?" So, which is a question we're all asking when this big battle comes, and we assume the living can win. Who will be in charge? Who will be left? And also, everything that happens. This is from the trailer. Everything that happens will be something you've seen before. Actually, I don't know if that's from the trailer. I don't know if he said that line from the trailer, but that idea that cycles, and I think that might come into Lightbringer. It might come into, you know, the last hero, all that kind of thing. Sansa is a hell of a lot of it. Like, she's so much better as a queen and as a ruler than Cersei and Dany. And I think this comes, she's very in touch with a happy population is a strong leadership. A happy people is a secure castle. And that's her first priority. Everything she's talking about, the grain, the leather on the breastplates, that's all to do with the more of us, the better. The more of us that are happy and protected, the better. And it plays into what Bran says to her at the Weirwood later on, when he says, this all happened to you. I'm so sorry it happened to you at our home. Like, this is her safe place. And I think that's the first time somebody has acknowledged that. Everybody has acknowledged, Jon acknowledged the abuse that happened at the hands of Ramsay and Littlefinger. But nobody has ever seen it the way Sansa has seen it, the way any woman would have seen it. It happened in your home.
And it wasn't just the one.
In your home.
It wasn't just that, you know, on the wedding night when Ramsay raped her and Theon was made to watch. The abuse went on day in, day out. You know, there was a scene where she's on the bed and she says it happened. It's happening all the time.
Yeah, it happened in her safe place. So I think she's really obsessed with now securing Winterfell and not letting anything like that happen there again. And I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but
no. I mean, the next thing really is Bran arriving at Winterfell, and this is gonna maybe annoy a few people here, and I'm kind of even a bit annoyed at myself for even thinking this, because I do love Bran's character, but oh my god, he just annoyed the shit out of me. Just everything about it, the expression on his face. I know that he's supposed to be like, you know, he's ascended and he's saying that everything's in bits and pieces. And when he was sat by the weirwood and they were having that conversation and he was saying, yes, you know, I need to speak to Jon and I need to figure out more about how to it just, I mean, right, clearly when he was having the conversation, that would have completely, I mean, surely that would, you know, it unnerved her. She had to walk away. It just completely unnerved her when he said quite calmly, you know, it was a beautiful night, it was snowing and da da da.
But I think I said this to you guys when, I don't know if it was in our pre-show, that's going to be the major problem to overcome having this omnipotent, omniscient, practically deity come into their lives again. It's not Bran anymore, and I don't know if it's like, it's supposed to be like that, okay, but I don't think the show navigated it that well. And I think the best thing that could have, I think a better thing there, and I loved when he said to her, I'm sorry this happened at our home, but I think that line would have been better if he had said nothing else and Mira had to explain things rather than Bran. Like, had he been warging and then Mira could have explained things to Sansa. He's not the boy you knew. Something like that. And he was warging and then he came back in and said, you know, this I'm sorry this happened at your home. I think that would have been, I just don't think the show navigated it that well. I can totally see that there's a problem there. There's a disconnect with Bran. But I think I don't know. And I love Bran as well.
Was he saying to her, I mean, Sansa might have taken this the wrong way and maybe we took it the wrong way. He was saying, I'm sorry that happened to you. What he could have meant was, look, I saw you get married. You mentioned about her being she looked beautiful in a wedding dress and everything. Maybe he meant, I'm sorry you had to marry a Bolton. And I saw it. I saw you get married. I saw you in your wedding dress, because he can see through the weirwood.
I think they're playing fast and loose with that, because he can't
would
he
be in the room where she was being raped by Ramsay, you know, over and over again? Because
he was able to see at Dorne, right?
Yeah, that's true, and there were no weirwoods there.
And he was able to see the courtyard of Winterfell, and there's no weirwoods there. So I think that the show is playing fast and loose with that, or else, I don't know, Bran's power is going to be revealed more. I don't know.
Catherine, the first time I saw that scene, it just annoyed me. It annoyed me that there was no emotion from him.
Yeah.
Again,
there can't be though. There can't be.
Yeah.
Like he isn't Bran anymore. But I do think, well, there can be though, because we're not going to get, unless we never get a Bran chapter again, I guess. But I think Mira should have been the one to explain it. I think it would have been just better for.
If I was Sansa, sat outside, you know, around by the tree looked beautiful, by the way, especially in the snow and with the winter. The weirwoods always look absolutely beautiful to me. And it just reminds me of a kind of the red, and you know, I'm like with colours, red and white always reminds me of like from a nursing background. It's like blood and bandages. You're never supposed to have white and red flowers in a hospital ward because of the representation of blood and bandages. But anyway, that's white and red colours together. But visually, I always think it looks really powerful.
It's beautiful, yeah.
I would, if I was Sansa, I would have said to him, look, you're really beginning to annoy me now, Bran. You either give me something practical that we can do to defeat this enemy, or fuck off back to that tree, because I've had enough of this.
But where was Mira at that stage? Like, what? He suddenly doesn't need her anymore. That's it. Goodbye.
Mira has been Mira's the character that I feel the most sorry for in all of.
She's a brilliant actress.
Yeah, she's great. She's great. Yeah.
But I will. Let me try and save this for you, because I think I might be saving this for myself. There is no way Arya and Bran can ever come back to Winterfell and be normal. And we said this before. Bran definitely can't, right? However, this may now have opened the door for Arya to come back and have a heartwarming reunion with Sansa, because Sansa walks away crying. And Sansa, maybe it's you know, the loss of her brother, maybe it's a combination of that, and the fact that she's opened, at least in her own, she said aloud her own doubts in Jon, and opened a power struggle there with Bran, saying, "You're Lord of Winterfell." But she walks away very alone. And I think when most people saw that scene in the trailer, they thought that was the moment.
Creeped out.
Yeah.
Totally creeped out. Yeah, you're right. I think maybe
she's so alone. And maybe this is like building up to like all the irony we had in last week's episode. Maybe we weren't expecting the Arya reunion. We weren't expecting anything from that. But Arya has made the decision to turn home. Arya has already been softened a little bit with the hot pie scene. So maybe Sansa and Arya, when their reunion happens, maybe we'll get something more.
Catherine, have you seen? It's like a 9-second clip of there's the HBO trailer, but there's also the UK Sky Atlantic trailer, which apparently is different. Yeah, it's different. Do you want me to tell you? Do you want me to tell you what's in it? Okay.
Yes.
There's a couple of seconds clip, but you can see it quite clearly. I think it's about 9-10 seconds of Arya. Just cover your ears or pause or switch off if you don't want to hear this, everybody. Arya's back in Winterfell and she's practice fighting with Brienne in the yard, and Sansa's watching them. Yeah. And Arya.
Sky. Wow.
I know. And Arya is being very kind of like, water dancer kind of, very impressive and very kind of like, very like, look, I know what I'm doing. I know how to fight. Yeah. So she's definitely back in Winterfell next episode.
I think the show is going to abandon the hardened assassin. I think they're softening Arya completely.
There's a look from Sansa. She's watching them fight, and there's a look where I can't tell what it is. I can't tell whether it's admiration. I can't tell whether it's she's just as creeped out by Arya's behaviour as she was with Bran's, but in a different way. Just that, like, wow, it's been so long, and obviously all of this stuff has gone on for Bran. It's all of this stuff has gone on for Arya. I don't know who my brother and sister
Arya
are
is a real threat.
Maybe. I still think that Arya is going to kill a queen, because she said that to those Lannister soldiers. I'm going to kill a queen.
I still think she's going to take the Hound's body and go end up in King's Landing and kill the Mountain and Cersei. That's why.
Wow.
Maybe.
Well, that's a bold prediction to end things on.
I know. Yeah, I'll just leave that hanging there. My crazy tinfoil.
Let's just see if, so we've covered everything.
Yeah.
We've talked about the promo for next week. Let's see if we've got anybody got any questions. So let's take a couple of questions before we finish. Let's
Meridian asks, did we notice the cat's paw in Arya's belt?
Yes. Yeah, and you see a shot of that.
It was in all the promotional material as well.
Yeah, you saw that. Yeah. Any questions for us, anyone? Any questions about? I would definitely, for Polish peeps out there, I would definitely recommend Baroque Jungle. It's a beautiful one-coat shimmery green from the China Glaze Fall collection. So if you're a green person, I love it. I love it.
Claire, do you think that Sansa is the queen that Arya could kill? Or what queen do you think she'll kill? If she's going to kill a queen?
Well, it doesn't look like she's going to make it to King's Landing if she's going north. It could only be Sansa, but it can't be.
Lisa says she's going to kill Littlefinger. So, Lisa, are you saying that Littlefinger is a queen? I'm confused. We missed you, Lisa. You didn't keep us from going on so long. We ended up talking. Ended up being very unstructured without you, Lisa.
No questions? Any questions? In the trailer, she's fighting with the cat's paw, Meridian.
Okay. So
Is Marco gone?
Do you think Arya will meet Jon again? Because I don't know about that one. I'm not sure about that one.
It depends on how long it's going to take them to mine the dragon glass and how long he's going to be at Dragonstone. I mean, he seemed to hot-foot it down there quite quickly between the first episode and the second episode. The second and the third episode. Maybe that. I mean, I think that would be much more emotional than any of the other reunions. I mean, up to now, the most emotional reunion of the Stark kids has been, weirdly, Jon and Sansa, and
I watched that scene so many times. That gave me.
It was great. It was fantastic. But they were probably the least close. So the fact that they had the most emotional reunion.
Because we wouldn't have got anything out of it, I think, if it hadn't been. And I do think, the Bran thing. Bran is a dead loss anyway. Like, that was never going to be emotional. The one thing we want to see is Bran and Jon. Like, we don't really care about Bran and Sansa.
I didn't expect it to be emotional. I just didn't expect it to be so bloody annoying.
Actually, did Sansa and Bran ever have a scene together in the first series? I don't think they did, apart from when they're all together. I don't think Bran and Sansa ever were on their own in a scene.
No, but he was very young, wasn't he, in the first season? And I think he was seen as, like, the little brother, and then he got her, and she, they got
also
separated.
it's hard for the audience to buy Sansa suddenly turning on the waterworks when she was so quick to abandon Rickon.
Nobody seems to care about Rickon at all. Poor Rickon.
I know, poor Rickon. But I don't think we have any more questions, Claire.
No, that's it. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Next week, I think, are we going to be back? Lisa, you can tell us if you're still there. Are we going to? I think we're going to go back to Monday next week.
Yes, we're on Monday. We might be a bit earlier, I think, on Monday. Because it's a bank holiday in Canada. So
wonderful. Yeah,
Yeah, so
that would be
hopefully
great.
we'll be earlier.
Yeah.
So
They
that
call
would
it,
be good for
I
the
think they call them
Europeans.
stat days. Is that right? Canadian friends, I think, yeah, they
Okay.
call them stat days, like statutory holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lisa says that's good for her. So we will be on whose
We'll
channel
sort
on
that
Monday?
out. Mine, I think it's next.
Okay, so check out. Yeah.
So I don't know. We might say 4 o'clock your time, Lisa, if that suits you. So 2 hours earlier, maybe.
Yeah.
Claire, does that suit you? 9 o'clock on Monday?
That would be perfect. Yeah, that would be perfect.
And 10 o'clock for me. I mean, I can go earlier if you want. It depends on you, Lisa. So yeah, 4 is good for Lisa. So that's 4 Eastern, 10 UK time. And if you're in the continental Europe with me, that's midnight. No, that's 11. No, I'm confused. 11. That's 9 your time, isn't that right, Claire? And 10 my time.
So if we 4 p.m. Eastern,
yes,
9 p.m. UK, and 10 p.m.
my time,
continental
Swiss time.
Europe.
Yes. So 9 o'clock UK and 4 for Lisa. So Eastern. So that's great. So we'll see you on Monday then, I guess. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us, everybody, and we will see you on Catherine's channel on Monday. And enjoy the show.
I'll schedule it right now, so you can go to my channel in the next 5 minutes, and it'll be up. You can hit the little bell.
Thanks very much, everyone. Bye. Bye.